Welcome to the War Room, a weekly roundtable discussion that takes place every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in at 911warroom.com/Zoom.
Welcome, two people. We're at the 911 War Room. It's 5 o'clock. Other people are going to be joining in. It is Sunday, the 27th. 26th of December, the day after Christmas. On the screen, what you're seeing right now is the 911 public directory that we have. You can real time see people signing up and connecting across the world. I just love this idea. I just found this button. I made this thing and I'm just like, what's this? And I click on it. I'm like, oh, isn't that fantastic?
Oh, wow.
It goes full screen. Even on your phone, it goes full screen. It just makes it really convenient.
So bottom line is everybody almost is either in the eastern part of the country or in
Yep.
California or in Washington.
Yeah, Kale out there and floating in the Pacific.
Oh my God, that is so far.
And here's the three of us on the call. We're right in one line. I'm here. There's Sean, and there's you.
Okay, let's all meet at Sean's place.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool.
So, yeah, if it's just going to be the two of us, maybe. So what we were just talking about was an option for streaming this so that people could see it. Oh, that's an action item for me that I'll put down.
Maybe we should just ask people if they'd be interested in seeing it live, like if they would.
Well, I think it adds somebody that's super passive and they feel, hey, Ray, people that are super passive and are even put off by the fact of, even interacting with people completely, they could at least observe. It's kind of like sitting beside two-way mirror.
But they could observe after the fact as well.
Yeah, but this way they're observing while it's happening live, kind of like just like being in the room and not being in the room. And then if they would like to click on the Zoom link, then they can come in and actually pull up a chair and say something. So,
and there's also people who won't necessarily, when they get the notification on a Sunday morning or on a Saturday night, they might not necessarily, carve out the time for it in advance.
Right.
But if they come across the fact that it's live streaming at that moment, they might just hop on and say, yeah, I got time. I'll just jump in or jump on.
The newest news that we've got going on right now is the Lawyers Committee, after working 6 years with Dave Cool on his FOIA requests, are moving forward, and Dave is going to be given the power of discovery of new evidence. So more stuff is going to start coming out. That's just fantastic. That's huge. That's a great Christmas present.
Well, do you just want to maybe explain what it entails, like in basic terms of what it is that the Lawyers Committee is having a chance to do and how that matters?
That was my 30-second summary. If we want to get a little deeper, this is at the 911lawyers.org. If you go to their site, they listed here breaking news. I'll just read a little bit of this right here, this first paragraph. 6-year legal battle against the NIST and the FEMA to get access to the data they were used in preparing FEMA's building performance study of the collapse of World Trade Center buildings has culminated into a court decision granting discovery to Dave Cool, represented by Mick Harrison of the Lawyers Committee. I'm just skimming through. Lawyers Committee has supported the litigation from the start. NIST and FEMA fought to dismiss Cool's Freedom of Information Act case but on December 21st, 2021, the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia denied their motion for summary judgment and granted Cool discovery. He will now inquire via depositions, document requests, and interrogations or interrogatory. I never saw
interrogatories.
I've never seen that. Interrogations into why FEMA and NIST failed to disclose key records known to exist regarding the collapse of World Trade Center buildings on 9/11. So this now gets us. I've always wondered why we never had the a good set of blueprints for 1 and 2. There is this mishmash of really crappy drawings on the AE site for buildings 1 and 2, but now he can get into a lot of stuff. And I know, working with Dave in the past, he found a list of files that they said they had, and then they come back and says, no, we don't have those files. And he's like, well, here's your list where you said you have them. And they're like, oh, those files. So
Okay.
they got their feet are being held to the fire on this one.
So this would basically force NIST's hand. So if I understand this correctly, the lawyers committee is now given a chance to make a case to force NIST's hand to
Hang on.
release
Yes, David.
the data.
I don't have the link. I need you to send me a hyperlink for the WarRoom, please.
Okay, I will do that. You can't open your browser up to 911warroom.com/Zoom and click on the link right there.
If I type it in, it laughs at me.
Okay, I'll send you
I have
the.
the hyperlink.
I'll send you the
Sorry.
hyperlink. Okay, all good. Bye.
Thank you.
I'm finding out, and Sandra are finding out, you have to guide people by the hand. Isn't it?
Yep.
Things are never as simple as you think they are.
Don't think tech makes it easy.
What's that?
Tech don't make it easy.
No, it does not.
Okay, Sean, let me back up for a second. I put up a post that encouraged people to sign up at 911public.org so that people would be able to find each other and know where they are. And in that post, people replied by giving me their city and state. And I thought it was such a simple post. It was just add your name to the list, not in the thread, not in the feed, just go to that link that I posted right there and just add yourself. And apparently, I don't know why that was so difficult
There it comes.
to
No,
be
Jason.
understood.
There we go. All right. Sorry, I had it on screen share the whole time.
That's
If
okay.
For those, hey, Jason, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here. Sorry I'm late.
Oh, good.
Hi, Jay. Nice to meet you. It's the first time you're joining this call, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Dig it.
Thank you, because with every week that passes by, I feel like people become hesitant about joining for the first time because they feel like, it's like almost joining like a crowd in a cafe where everybody gathers and you're like, the last person to join, you're not sure if they already have.
I'm actually the exact opposite. I forgot about it the last few weeks and I've been down on myself about it. So no, it's really good to be here. And I'm actually sorry this is my first one, but thanks for the invitation.
That totally sounded like New York there. Is it?
Oh, come on, man. No, Boston.
Boston, all right. That's funny. The awe. I guess I misheard the awe. Awe.
Yeah, if nobody understands what I'm saying, I'll be happy to repeat it. I know we're not exactly a part of the United States up here in Massachusetts, so we speak a little differently here. But we got a few Americans here, so it's nice to be here.
So Jason, if you're in Boston, are you involved with Boston for 9/11 Truth?
I am. I actually was out there with I'm not sure if he's on the call, Al Magaletta.
It usually is.
He's normally
yeah,
always on the call, yeah.
I got in touch with him through another 9/11 group, and we handed out some information in front of the State House in Boston on 9/11 this year. It was, for the most part, very well received. A couple of people rolled their eyes, but that was the worst response that we got. We had a lot of tour buses going by. Some Uber drivers went by. They actually asked for information, and Al was nice enough to give me a bunch of pamphlets and leaflets. I still have them in the back of my CRV, and I actually take the subway to work every morning here in Boston, and I keep meaning to hang these up on, we call it the T here, and get them out there. But we have some pretty strict restrictions up here. It's out of control in Massachusetts, so I'll probably get 25 years in prison when they catch me for doing it. But it's a great time to catch people when they're kind of like a little more open-minded to read something. So I'm looking forward to hanging these up on the subway cars here. So, but it was a really great day, and it was a lot of fun to be out there. I wish we had done it sooner since, but we have some things planned, but or we did. But COVID, this, that, the other thing. There's just so much going on in the world that
you should
is
come to the
slowing
Boston
everything.
meetings. You should come
I'm
to
sorry?
the Boston Zoom calls.
Oh, but I know I was on one a couple of weeks ago with Al and one of the women that
Okay.
were on it. It was just the
All
three of us. But I often get those like the day of, and I'm just a little behind on actually usually I read the email about 10 minutes after the meeting ended. So
I agree. It should be done the day before. I
yeah,
agree.
All right, well-
look we're doing the best we can. It's we're fighting. It's David versus Goliath. We're doing all that we can. So
Yeah, Boston's a great, I mean, you're lucky to have such a great group in your area because they're super well organized and they're very dedicated. And I feel like if any group's going to get anything done, it's Boston because they have the people that they need for it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm constantly reaching out to people around here, and I don't get much of a response from them, but I know they read the stuff that we put out there, and hopefully just one person at a time, we're waking them up. But we've got to get more people quicker. It's taken too long, in my
Well,
opinion.
that's the whole point of the 9/11 public.
Yep.
Right?
So, thank you for that, Jason. We were just getting through like the new news, and that's actually a new current event update on what happened in Boston for this past 9/11. So, appreciate that. What we were just explaining real quick, if I can jump back at this, is if all of you should be on the mailing list for the Lawyers Committee, the breaking news about the legal victory regarding agencies' non-disclosure of 9/11 records. They're basically going to release records now via David Kuhl. So if you get a chance, go to the Lawyers Committee's website. The shortcut I have is 911lawyers.org, and read through this. It's pretty good. It's a nice Christmas present for justice for 9/11, so we can see some movement there. Other new current events items. Who is Richard?
Susan Lindauer.
Susan Lindauer just did a recent interview with Richard Gage, and I asked 3 good questions, 2 of which, and now I'm pulling a Biden. I can remember one. One good question was, do you have a dead man switch? And even if you did, would you tell us? And Susan answered, I actually kind of do. I'll give you a little teaser. And she said, I know where the 2.3 trillion is. And I am the only one that can be able to get that 2.3 trillion back, and they won't kill me if they want the 2.3 trillion. So there's that in a clip.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. And what was the other one? Rats. I asked her a couple of zingers. I can't remember what the other one is offhand real quick. Yeah, so if you get a chance, check that out. Any other news that people are aware of, current events for 9/11?
Can I speak to the 2.3 trillion issue?
Sure, I'll give you 2 minutes to the floor.
I can't imagine that it isn't just dissipated among all the various grafting corporations. It would surprise me that it would still be all in one place. That's the whole point of the cost overruns with the Pentagon, is that they're all just thieves, and there's a large number of different thieves, and I'd be shocked if it was any other way.
Right. See if I could skip ahead to it. I think oh, there was the other one. Yeah, that was a good one too. Here, if I may.
It hasn't pursued your having an.
Yes.
Says, pardon the. And then Gene asks, he says, pardon the blunt question. Why do you think the CIA hasn't pursued your having an, quote, unfortunate mortal accident? Any chance you have a dead man switch? Would you tell us if you did?
Good question.
Well, I do have a dead man switch. I'll just tease you with this a little bit. I know where the $2.3 trillion is. And if they were ever to kill me, they would never get it back.
What, you have it?
Wow.
I know who's got it, and I know where it is, and I know how to get it back. And it is not 2.3 trillion anymore. It's a lot more. It is probably, there has been a big fight, even in the past weeks, over whether Biden would get it or whether they'll wait until the Republicans take the Congress, House and Senate a year from now, and because the man who's got it is a federal inmate, a Chinese agent. Now, remember, I was accused of being an Iraqi agent. He is a real Chinese agent, and he's going to give the money to China if he gets out of prison, and we haven't taken it back yet. So that is my dead man switch, is that I can get it back and nobody else knows where it is.
So the only thing odd about that to me is that if it wouldn't seem to me that the 2.3 trillion went to one person. It seems like it should have been utilized for the events of 9/11, but we don't know.
Oh,
The
you
other,
don't need that much money.
yeah,
It's
right?
much more money than they needed to do 9/11.
Yes, exactly. And the other one, quick, if you guys don't mind. Let's see.
That the
Where is it?
event. And that somehow
Here we go.
George Bush has stated, and Richard Gage, you need to get the actual video of the statement from, it's very specific and very brief and fast. And it goes so fast where he says, I saw the video of the first.
I'm sorry, I messed up. You're gonna have to bear with me. I have to give you the backstory on this one.
Your mention of the Mossad in relation
This is
to Iraq,
Mossad.
that went by way too fast. Really.
Okay. The Iraqis said that the accusations against them, that they were somehow connected to 9/11, that it came from the Mossad, that the Mossad.
So anybody that was trying to blame Iraq on this, that was all Mossad saying Iraq had something to do with
was
it.
trying to blame the Iraqis for the attack.
Okay.
Gene?
And then
Somebody saying something?
Yes.
Yes.
I have a question. So remember I reached out to J. Michael, whatever his name is, the other day?
Springman, yeah.
He was very adamant about the Iraqis and the jihadists and all that type of shit, like conducting the attacks. But obviously now you're saying that the Mossad is who was saying that, I guess, as the false flag. So why do some people still believe that it was the jihadists and the Middle Easterns, if that was the case?
So I can't speak for Susan, but what she's saying here, she was what was it? Not ambassador. She was a CIA asset for interpretation or whatever between Iraq and the United States. I forget what the technical title is for her. But she found there was absolutely nothing pinning Iraq to 9/11. Now, when you say jihadists, that gets into the Arab race and whoever knows, what other groups that involves. So that quickly goes outside of just Iraq. That gets into a bunch of other countries, I guess you could say. It's a people group then you're talking about, not a.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's how much I know about this subject.
Yeah, no, that's good. So what he's saying right here is, what she said is that Iraq didn't have anything to do with it, but Mossad is saying that. And here's the kicker right here, what I'm getting to.
okay, the end of that question was that your knowledge and Israeli involvement that you got locked up.
Oh wait, skip that one.
I know people who were doing.
I just want to give you a heads up. It's just about 5:20.
Yeah, I gonna.
If you can't play the whole clip.
Something about Israel's involvement. The one thing that I did know
Here.
was that the Israeli Mossad agents were positioned outside the World Trade Center on 9/11 with cameras queued up to videotape the event. And that somehow George Bush has stated, and Richard Gage.
So right there, she's ready to hang her hat on the fact that the Mossad was outside recording the event. Hang for 1 second. I pause at 5:20 real quick for a quick prayer for 9/11 justice. So just, if you're not religious, just chill with me for 30 seconds here. Lord, we just come before you right now. I thank you so much for these advocates that just stick their neck out after 20 years. Lord, we just pray for justice, that you would protect the Lawyers Committee, Richard Gage, and all those moving forward with this. Whatever this evil is that continues to cover this up, Lord, that we would just expose that, we would allow them to be exposed, and we could get justice for the victims' families and all of America and all of the world. In your name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Thank you. So what she's getting at here is now, I guess she's laying the groundwork for the fact that the Mossad was there already recording the event.
You need to get the actual video of the statement.
And if anybody
Because
hasn't
it's
seen this
very
video clip,
specific and very brief and fast.
right here.
And it goes so fast, where he says, I saw the video of the first airplane hitting the World Trade Center, and I thought to myself, that's a really lousy pilot, because I used to fly planes.
If anybody hasn't seen this clip, this is devastating, and people brush it off as nothing. This is devastating. George Bush really fucked up here.
Was sitting outside the classroom waiting to go in, and I saw an airplane hit the tower of a TV. You know, TV was obviously on, and
Now, I'm pausing there real quick. This wasn't televised. The first plane strike was not televised. How did he see the first plane strike the first tower?
That was the Naudet brothers film.
Yeah, this is the not. I made this clip just to put this on here, but there's no way this was televised. This was much later. The Naudet film. Right? This came much later.
It wasn't televised till the next day.
Yes. So how is he getting a live stream seeing the first plane hit?
Have you ever heard of a politician who didn't lie?
Right.
I used to fly myself, and I said, well, there's one terrible pilot. And I said, it must have been a horrible accident.
And people will say, oh, he's making a mistake. He meant to say the second plane. Well, no, he talks later, because this is a really funny fact. Susan Lindauer's second cousin is Andrew Card, the guy that whispered in George Bush's ear. And he tried to say that he didn't know since Susan. She goes back. I think she says it right here. So hang on a second.
Yeah, no, I remember. I've seen it.
And that's the cue that he did see the first video. And so and then he says, then the second airplane, my chief of staff leans in and tells me about the second airplane. So what happened, that is an admission right there. That is undeniable.
I thought I cropped it in.
It's cognitive dissonance that we have that all of us have not grabbed onto that, because that is an admission from George Bush that he did see the video of the first airplane. The video was taken by the Mossad.
So, so many things to say on that. John Masseria had a 2015 FOIA request, and it came back with a whole bunch of information, one of the last of which there was a videotape. It was the dancing Israelis. And they found explosive residue in the van in this, and they had photographs and a videotape, and they sent it to the lab, and all of a sudden the videotape disappeared. I think that was the recording that everyone's talking about here, the live stream, the stream that the Mossad, this is just speculation at this point, the stream that Mossad was putting out that George Bush was privy to watching the first plane hit the neocons, because they wanted war with all of the enemies of Israel, if you will. So that's getting into a lot of speculation, but there's some interesting stuff there, and that was supposed to be new current news, and I just totally ran on, and I shouldn't have done that, but thank you for thanks for listening to that.
We might want to take agenda items if anybody has any.
Yes, let's get back to, where is my stop share?
And you can, yeah, stop sharing it.
I know we didn't really want to get into evidence and all that. We kind of want to keep this to strategy and activism, because it seems like every time we start talking about evidence, it's just, this happens in the meeting, and we didn't need that.
That's not the point of this anyway.
Yeah. So I was hoping maybe to get David Chandler in, that we could start tackling some of this physics denial that Dave Slesinger got behind. Dave has a great idea of now reaching out to college campuses, just a business card or a postcard.
No, a business card.
I know you're saying business card. I'm saying postcard too, because it's really one and the same. Somebody can afford hanging out, wants to pay more for it, they can do that. But at a minimum, a business card, yes.
The reason I'm against the postcard is because the value of the business card is that it's easier to put in your wallet.
Yes.
The other one you have to fold and people are going to refuse. They're going to throw it away. Something bigger, they're going to throw away.
Something smaller they might lose. So there's something to be said about a postcard too.
So on that, sorry, I had to jump back. Bargain basement printing. If you guys don't know about this as an activist, you should. You can come in here and get business cards, 500 high glossy, double-sided, 500 of them for 27 bucks. And I use them often while this is coming up. Here's my fronts of the business cards I put out and the backs of the business cards I put out, and I put them everywhere. Gas station pumps, tuck them in behind toilet urinals in the bathrooms, just anywhere and everywhere I have these things. And it's just a great little thing. These are actually dated. Could use updated a little bit, but yeah. I don't know why this is taking so long. Let me try this again. Huh. There it is. Business card, 500 of them. No, 20 bucks, even cheaper. How about that? Where else are you going to get 500 business cards, 20 bucks, high grade, high glossy, both sides? So what I was thinking here was hoping tonight from physics denial that David's Slesinger has, he only wanted to focus on the third item of physics.
The third law,
Third law of motion.
third law, but when I discussed it with Dave Chandler, he said all three are important.
Is it .org? What is it? 9/11 physics denial or just physics denial?
Physicsdenial.com. It is absolutely true. This is a complete misunderstanding of the whole point of the effort is to have the 9/11 associated with the URL means that 2/3 of the people will not go to the website.
Right. So it's we think an ethical bait and switch. We want people
Not
to
a bait and switch. You just don't say a lot. Hopefully it's interesting enough. Once they look at it, they still might not look at it.
I hear you, but I'm just going to call it like I see it shooting from the hip. It's a bait and switch, but it's a beautiful bait and switch.
There's no money passed, so there's no bait and switch.
You're saying, okay. You're saying come and look at the physics and then, hey, how about 9/11?
You're baiting them. You're baiting them by getting them intrigued in what it is about physics that you can actually deny.
Yep.
And then once they're in, they see that it's about 9/11 specifically. So.
But this needs revamped. His idea was to come in with a third law of motion and get them. And then we already talked to David Chandler. If anybody doesn't know who David Chandler is, huge on World Trade Center 7 and the free fall. David looked at it and says, you really got to talk about all three laws of motion because they all tie together. So David was going to look at this, revamp it, try to keep it simple, because we really just want people to question, I guess we want them to look at the physics and then wonder what happened on 9/11 then, because it really is obscene and we should keep it rudimentary.
The idea is for these students to then confront their teachers and professors.
Yes.
And ask them to, come up with an explanation as to what, how you could possibly justify that. My question is the idea to put all three laws of physics on these business cards?
No, just the URL.
Just the URL.
The website will raise the issues.
Okay, so then maybe Gene could make an attempt at creating, if you're just running with the URL.
Okay, here's the thing. I'm glad that what you showed us exists, because in many cases, having colorful, interesting business cards is really valuable. Both sides, that's wonderful. But I don't agree that that's what we need here. We need physicsdenial.com, and under that, disagreement about Newton's laws. Nothing else nothing on the back, just that on the front. And
it's such a waste. I would think you'd want just something to get them to question the physics, not put 9/11, nothing 9/11.
It will discourage. It will encourage them. No, I really strongly.
Well, you could
if
just
you
go to
come up with
Post-it notes.
something, I'll let you present something and maybe I'll like it. I shouldn't assume that I won't.
If I walk up to
Hey,
a card and all it
guys.
has is a URL on it, I'm not going to go visit that URL. You got to have something that.
Well, it depends what the URL, I mean, if the URL intrigues you enough, you know, it depends. I mean, it doesn't take that much. I drove by a building on the highway to work that suddenly it had a huge billboard and it was just a big fat orange heart. And I'm like, well, what the hell is that? Like on top of a building, like what's an orange? Like it was so out of context and it got me intrigued. So I
And then
Googled it.
Xiola, and then somebody else. Xiola, you were first, and then
Yeah, thank you. I tried to raise my hand, but it went back down for whatever reason. And I think that your card idea is great. I love the idea of adding a way to like look into things further. And I was thinking, what if you popped a QR code on there, something you can scan, and like immediately, like you're talking to someone, you say, well, I happen to have this card in my wallet, here it is. Can you take your phone out and scan it and then put it back in your wallet? That way everybody has the QR code already on the business card.
Yeah.
So that way you're really pushing that information out and making it available, or even 2 QR codes if you really want to go full throttle, but at least one to link it immediately and show people, wow, they can see the video right there on their phone.
Yes.
Just an idea.
I've had somebody suggest that, and let me raise my concern. The QR code means that people are not going to have to wait till they get home to look this up. They're going to look it up right then. They're immediately going to see it's about 9/11, and then a significant percentage of the people will not look one moment further. The QR code is going to hurt this project.
I don't
Alright.
think so.
So if it's on there as an addition, I don't think it would, because I use it all the time. You can see on
Well,
the
I currently own this website.
Yeah.
You're welcome to try to make your case. Just saying you're sure it's not is not enough.
Well,
So
David,
if
how
you-
about
here,
this?
hang on. If I could say, let me just say this. People, we know people learn differently. Some people will use by auditory means. Some people learn by vision, visually. Some people learn by hands-on. People learn different ways. People also will approach different means of reaching out to them differently. So if you have a card that has a URL, that'll pick up with the people that have the red personality types. They just want the facts. Just give me the URL, I'll go there. Then you have people that like the stories. So you're going to have the graphical element of it to draw them in. And then I don't know where I was going with the QR code, but having a QR code also on the card would not, it's not going to hurt anything to have the QR. People that aren't into it, they just ignore it. They'll go to the URL.
That's a misunderstanding of what I said. If people aren't into it, what do you mean? They're not into QR codes, or they're
Right.
not into 9/11? What
Not
do you,
into
I'm not
QR
being more
codes.
clear.
Well, we don't have anything 9/11 on your card that you just said. So it's
Once
just
you go to the QR code, you'll know it's about 9/11.
no, it goes to the site. It's just like a link. This is just a
If you
link.
go to the site, you'll know it's about 9/11.
You just said you're.
And then you won't put it in your wallet, and you won't go home and look it up.
Well, how about, David, I mean, on your site, what if you don't make the main page about 9/11? You just make it about the physics, and only if they click on one of the 3 laws, for example, does it then lead them to a second page that would be talking about 9/11. So at least that way you don't have that in their faces immediately as soon as they land on the page.
I'm willing to consider that. However, I really love the picture with the huge cloud. The idea is that in no way gravity could have caused that huge cloud over, 50 city blocks in lower Manhattan. That is a suspicious picture. Anyone who is not a 9/11 truth activist has never seen that picture.
Here's a use I've done with the QR code. I made these, it's 8.5 by 11. Just print these out and hang them up. People can come here since then have added a URL. Yeah, actually, there's the URL. They can go straight to the URL, or they can click on this and actually goes right to the video of Cyril Weck saying that. So,
And that is good use of the QR code because you're not pulling any punches about it being about 9/11.
right.
Hey, Gene,
Go ahead.
how much would it cost to get like a billboard on the side of like the New Jersey Turnpike as you're like approaching New York City?
Way more than we've got to start off with, but I hear you.
I mean, are we talking about $100 grand? Or are we talking about like $100 a month? Like, yeah, any
100
idea?
grand.
Yeah, probably. A low end is $8,000 for a billboard. I imagine going into the Holland or Lincoln tunnels. Yeah, you're going to be tens of
Hold
thousands.
on a second. I mean, AE paid 17,000 for the billboard for a month in the middle of New York, right?
I thought it was more.
It was 17.
Why
Very
couldn't
good.
you get that same spot that AE had across from the New York Times with did you know a third tower fell on 9/11 and then post it up on that same spot for another, you know, whatever X amount of money?
Because we don't have that kind of money.
Yeah.
Okay, understood.
Let me just
long-
raise something about money. If we had money and we wanted to build up the leafleting of colleges with physicsdenial.com, there's 5,000 colleges in the United States. There's thousands in other English-speaking countries. We haven't figured out how to pay people to make sure that colleges are gone to, but maybe we'll figure that out. And I'd rather put the money into paying people to do what's called bread and butter of politics. I mean, in basketball, you have a dribbling and passing. In football, you have blocking and tackling. Truthers have almost no interest in the basics. They want some simple concept where if you had enough money, you can turn everything around. This is about blocking and tackling. You go to a campus and you hand these out one person at a time. I mean, I would love to have somebody other than Sandra and Gene here on this call think that's even slightly interesting. I assume everyone who ever comes to this call would be categorically opposed to putting 1 minute into that.
It's a tough.
I mean, look, the tough part of what you're suggesting is it relies on people to actually do the work physically, and you're reaching people one person at a time. The reason why a billboard is compelling and why we paid for an airplane to drag a message on 9/11 is because, yeah, you put a certain amount of money into it, but you have like a big impact on a lot of people all at the same time. And, you know, the outcome is just as iffy as putting these cards into the hands of physics students because we don't know how they're going to react.
Not physics students, it's just students.
Or students, okay.
It's just students. I was in favor of those, you know, the planes. I'm not opposed to the billboards. People who are rich are willing to put their money there, a well-designed billboard. But that is absolutely the opposite of something where the people who see it haven't the slightest idea what it's about, and they're going to look at it. And then once they've got the website in front of them, they will see that this, you know, there should not be a major understanding in society which relies on a misunderstanding of Newton's laws. That should bother people.
Right.
Now, let me say slightly more. There's 5,000 colleges in the United States. There's over 50 million Americans who agree that it was either the Israelis or the American government who did this. That's a little less than half of the people who say bin Laden did it. Now, we have 50 million. We don't need that many to go to the colleges. We may only get 50 people to go to the colleges the first year, or 150. And then if we keep at it, you know, maybe we hit 500 the next year and 1,000 the next year. There's 50 million people who agree with us. All they need to do is spend 2 hours a year at this. And if we could actually leaflet all the colleges in the country, that will be huge. It will take several years before we build up to that. It's categorically against anything truthers are interested in.
No.
They want to debate what happened.
No, well, they do tend to go that way, but no, they're not all like that. But yeah.
No, just 99.999%.
Yeah. Truthers tend to, what he's saying is you go on Facebook and they just at each other. It's like, we need to build outwards, and it's really frustrating.
But we have to be efficient. I mean, that's the thing. We do not have that many people that are willing to do the work.
Right.
I have 2,000 people on my contact list who are truthers. I'm sure some of them, many of them will say, I'm just moved on. But I believe I can get many dozens to do this the first year.
Okay.
Which is a lot more than you have in your
on
excellent website.
911public.org.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not basically what Sean said, 911public.org, and it is just allow the movement to grow organically. Your idea is fantastic, David. I agree. Let the people that feel comfortable with street activism, if they get into a section where like, okay, what can I do? And they say, oh, one of the projects is physics denial. Oh, I can hand out business cards. Yeah, I'm all over that. And other people won't be, but I'll leave it there for those people to be able to find it. And yeah, we are part of
the problem is that we need an explanation of how to do this activity, but it probably can't be early on in what you see at the website. It would have to be lower down, people who want to help with this.
Great.
Or, you know, a simple way for people to go to the website and then slash I can help. And
Yes.
then it explains what you need to do.
Yep.
I mean, one important thing is when you go to a college, figure out the best spot to stand. I am a great leafleter. I know the best spot to stand to leaflet in the city of Washington, D.C.
All right.
Farragut North.
What is it?
Farragut North. It's a metro stop.
All right.
But that's after, you know, a long time of handing out deception dollars on the street.
Right on.
Hey,
There's nothing.
Gene.
Go ahead, whoever that was.
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off again. So back to the billboard thing. As you know, I was hanging out with Chris on 9/11, but the day before I left Virginia to head up to New York, one of my really good friends, his name's Rod, and Rod's a Marine, and me and him, when we became friends, he didn't know anything about the 9/11 thing, but we started talking about it, and now I made him watch, I brainwashed him with a bunch of movies, and now he believes me. And the day before 9/11, I went to Home Depot and I bought a painter's canvas, and I got some bright red paint, and I painted 9/11 smoking gun, or 9/11 was inside job, World Trade Center 7 smoking gun, right? I painted that on the fucking canvas. Well, Rod came out with me to Arlington, Virginia, and we were gonna drape it over an overpass on the 10th, like around 4 in the morning. But what happened was he's a government intel guy, and he was like, man, all these bridges are fucking tagged up with cameras, bro. So you gotta be like dressing like dark and don't have anything with writing. And we gotta park like 5 miles from this thing and hike it in on foot. So we did, but what happened was when we were standing up on the bridge, when we went to throw it over, it got caught up on the rust on the chain link. We were spending too much time fucking around with it to get it to like go, that he was like, man, we gotta botch this, man. We're gonna get fucking caught, you know? So I took his advice because he does that for a living, and we botched it. But I still have the canvas hanging up in my garage and I'd like to get back out somewhere and hang that bitch up.
Right on. I remember you
People in
talking
Boston
about
do
that.
that every year, not the exact same thing, but close to it. There's overpass on the Mass Pike that people go and stand on, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. I mean, it could be that you've got to notify the police, but it's probably not even illegal.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't even realize that. If that's the case, I mean, I'll go out there and fucking hang it up tonight. I mean, my idea was to actually go to Harbor Freight and get some like China Rican like padlocks and padlock it up onto the chain link fence. So if anybody wanted to take it off, they'd actually have to have some tools to do so.
Yeah.
You should talk to the folks in Boston about their experience.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Al's not on, and Jason, you are here, but Al seems to have a lot of knowledge of.
They do the overpass every year, from what I gather. I'm also in touch with some other people for a different group, but they do a support the police type of a movement on overpasses here all the time. It's very common. They hold flags, and generally speaking, sometimes you'll see fire trucks there too. And I've never heard of anything along the way of it being illegal or.
Do you need a permit for it?
What's that?
Do you need a permit for it?
I don't believe so. I just got invited to one. They're always during the week when I'm working. But they seem to just put these things up at spur of the moment. So they'll hang signs on the fencing on the overpass, stand there with flags or signs. I would imagine you can't do anything that could potentially, be on the other side of the fencing that could fall down into traffic.
Right.
As somebody who drives, the speed limit on the highways around here in Boston, joking. I don't want anything falling on those highways either. So, but it's never been something that I've seen as an issue. You see it all the time for somebody saying welcome home to their brother or their father from military service or something like that. It's never an issue. It's a nice gesture. So it's
Nice.
Generally speaking, it's very well received, and it's never
Okay.
been something that's.
So maybe it
that I-
just depends on the city, This doesn't hurt to check with the city to see exactly what the limitations are, if there are any, and adjust to that.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. Ray, you got something to say?
Yeah, gee.
Go for it, brother.
You're building a Meccano tower, I see.
I am building I don't know if you guys can see this or not. So
Yeah,
I bought an erector set like 2 years ago, and my idea is I have a propane basically burner, and I'm going to mount it inside this thing and show that jet fuel cannot melt steel, neither can this hydrocarbon propane. This thing will burn forever, and it'll never ever collapse. So I'll leave it as like one of those sidewalk lights when you walk up to a house. Just have this burning erector set of the Empire State Building. It'd be an eternal flame, and it'd be a good thing to have like when I do demonstrations on the streets. Plug in the 10-pound tank, and there's the flaming tower, and it's a detention getter. People go, "What's going on there?" And I'm like, well, this thing will never, ever, ever collapse, and it certainly won't collapse against the path of most resistance globally and symmetrically. So it's just an eye catcher.
Okay. Nice. You're
What's
gonna
up?
blow it up?
I'm not gonna blow it up. I'm gonna keep it. It's gonna have flames. Here, wait. Let me show you something. Where's the? Hang on one sec. So I got my 10-pound tank, and here's the regulator, and then here's this thing. I'll hook it up.
Okay.
And I'll mount this somehow in the base of this thing.
Okay. You're gonna put it on video?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. That's a good experiment. It's nice.
I have already a 4-foot Jenga. So when people
Yeah, but
come up,
this is really, if you take it out on the street, what you say, it really convinces, because nothing's gonna happen,
Yes. The same thing with
It's gonna
the,
get hot and that's it. It's,
I have a life-size Jenga, it stands 4 feet tall, and that does the same thing. People come out and they, oh, can I play with the Jenga? I'm like, what's going on here? Like, you ever seen a Jenga fall straight down against itself? No, it always falls to the side, right? 3 buildings on that, and then you just got the foot in the door. It's
I
just,
think that was the best slogan the 9/11 Truth Movement has. Jet fuel does not melt steel. It's
Well-
if you get that one, you get 9/11 because that's the thing.
well, people will fight back and say it didn't need to melt, it just need to weaken. This is true, but they're sidestepping the question. There was still molten material flowing down the channel rails. Everyone saw the molten material, so yeah, there was still molten materials there.
Yeah, but it was on video coming out of the South Tower.
Correct. You got it, brother.
So you don't have
They had
to
make videos
imagine
to
it.
argue the point.
Sean? Was that Sean?
Yes, I said they had to make videos to argue the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There were videos of the event, so that you don't have to make them. You just have to argue.
There's a chief. I think I have this video too. Man, if you guys don't mind me looking for a video. So it was a chief saying that he remembers am I still screen sharing? No. Hang on one sec here. Ride with me. If I go to YouTube, get my mouse over there. Your videos.
If you want to take down Ray's hand also when you get a chance,
Oh, yeah.
because I can't do it from my end.
These was. There it is. Leslie Robertson. Check this out.
Thing is, we talk about the molten metal. Now, we have not done any chemical analysis of what was there. We had many engineers on the site of the project following the failure. We and other engineering firms, and yes, there was a red hot metal seen by engineers, but molten means flowing. I never run across anyone who said that they had vaccine molten metal. I never run across anyone who said that they had.
So this is the same guy. He's about to contradict himself.
Vaccine molten metal. I never run across anyone who said that they had vaccine molten metal.
The World Trade Center for us started in 1962. The architect of Nagel and Xiola Moon received a commission to design the project. We have been working with Yama largely because of the talents of one of the partners in the firm, Jack Christensen, who produced the fantastic design of our first venture.
It's coming up.
With Yama. But we got this project not because
Here.
you have to remember above you. Down at the B1 level and
He's at the B1 level. So those that aren't aware, there were 6 sub-level basements in World Trade Center 1 and 2. He's at the B1 level now after 9/11 happened. This is Leslie Robertson, one of the engineers for the project. He's going to contradict himself for what he just said a second ago.
that I think you'd be interested in this, and they pulled off the big, and there was like a little river of steel flowing, like a little river of steel flowing, like a little river of steel flowing.
Never run across anyone who said that they had vaccine molten.
So somebody paid Leslie Robertson and said, you better shut up. You never saw flowing metal. And he changed his tune and said, no, I've never seen anybody say it. He himself said it right there in the clip on video.
The same thing happened to Trump.
Yeah, he's waffled.
Yeah.
You will find out who really knocked down those towers. Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds like an action item. Get him on recording again, new interview.
Yeah, if Leslie, something tells me Leslie Robertson just died or something. But if we could get him on tape,
Was it Trump who said that he thought there were bombs on the plane?
I remember him saying something about,
Because he said something like there were bombs that exploded simultaneously as the plane crashed.
I didn't
I
hear
think
that.
that makes sense, you know. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Having the explosion so big really makes sense.
You're on, I know you're pursuing that with every question you ask on Richard Gage's.
Yeah, but that's the thing NIST never examined, you know, the explosion.
Right.
Hey, Ray.
Go ahead, Sean.
And if you read the NIST report, I did, then you find out that the explosion was not investigated.
Hang on one sec. Sean's got a question for you.
Okay.
I think the premises is about how did the plane enter the building, and I'm
No.
actually the opposite side. I think the explosives were in the building and not on the plane. What do you think is easier for them to plant the explosives, where they're already bringing thermite, or where passengers are and planes are and all that security?
I think the explosion itself is the most massive explosion I've seen of a plane crash. If that's only a plane crashing, then I'm Jesus, you know.
I agree with you. There is explosions. I think we disagree where the explosions were placed, whether the plane or in the building.
It's not. I don't want to debate where it was. I'm just saying that NIST never calculated the blast of the explosion.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And by leaving the blast out of the picture, they also let go of the whole destruction caused by the blast in their computer models. And I think that's really important to know, that we are fighting the NIST report. We are not fighting each other. I think that's a waste of time. But I think fighting the NIST report is reading the NIST report, understanding the NIST report, and seeing what they left out.
Yes, sir. I don't want to fight with you either, Ray. I agree with you on the bomb. Yes, sir.
I'm not there. It's a waste of time. It's
Yeah.
really, we have
I
to
agree.
fight.
It's counterproductive.
We have to fight NIST and not each other.
I think I don't think you were picking on an argument there. It was just the tone that it comes off as, and that happens so often. It's just,
whatever my tone is, it's the words that count. I think that we have been fighting the NIST report without reading it, and I think that's really a failure of the movement, that we have to understand that we have to examine the official reports, dissect them line by line, knowing 9/11 is a lie, and then you see, and that's what I did when I read the NIST report. I read it with a critical mind. And then you see that things are not examined, and that's really a basis of how you argument a court case. You know, you read the facts the other presents you to see where the holes are.
I've asked Richard to go through, because he does the webinars and he goes over the same things, 1, 2, 7, and the.
Yeah, but Richard himself,
and what I've asked him to do, hang on. What I've asked him to do is to go through the NIST report, and I'll keep asking him again, because it would be nice, because very few have read the NIST report. If somebody could unpack it, like Richard could do a couple shows or webinars of unpacking the NIST report for the layman, that would be, I think, really.
It's a really big report. It took me a while to understand it, and it's not a one-night theme, you know. You have to take your time and go back to it and read it and read some more. But it's based on 2 computer models, and in order to get the computer models to work, they were confined with the amount of the input they had. So they took input out to create a computer model. So they left things out of their models. And I think if we understand how they rationalize their thought by taking out things of their computer models are not a representation of the reality. It's a fictionist model, so they can create everything they want.
Well, it would have been interesting, you know, if instead of having the Alaska report, but they had the Alaska report, right, which did their own analysis. But it would be interesting if they had a take on it that went at the NIST report, you know, to have their own research team dissect that NIST report and extrapolate exactly what was left out, and do the whole counter argument based on that.
I really think that's a really important part of where we can make more headway in you know, the getting attention for what happened is really the report itself. The calculations were done in MIT by Boston. The computer models were done by NIST. And then they have a basis of structuring the report with visuals and thought processes. But the conclusions are the computer models. But the computer models are not taking into all account all the energy that was present in the attacks.
Okay, I'm just going to interrupt you for a second because we're going really technical again.
Yeah, I know. But the 9/11 is technical.
No, it is.
And we have to fight NIST, not one another. And I think
okay. So the question then should not be about the technicalities, but if anything about how we do that, and who would do that, and how we organize as a movement to do that. Gene, if you just want to take off the screen share because we're just staring at a blank YouTube screen.
I'm sorry.
And I don't know if you wanted to go ahead and maybe, you know, you did want to do something maybe more on the creative side today.
Unfortunately, Chandler's not here.
No, I know, but something of your own or something just to give people an idea. I know that you're being creative by building your erector sets. We're not in on that.
Great.
I think it's a good one.
Thanks. Just different ways to try to outreach, meet people where they are.
Like maybe just ask people like what, you know, what they might want to see, how you make a meme or how you would create a business card of your own, like make a new business card, like right now on the spot that you might think would be an updated version of the one that you have, or I don't know, people can weigh in, like what would they like to see?
I would love to see you make a meme, Gene. I have never done that, and I've often thought I've had so many ideas for them.
Yeah,
and follow you on Facebook, you know, I hammer people, and I actually have I grew up here in the city, and I have a lot of Boston firefighter friends, and I think the fire departments are truthfully the most outrageously difficult people to reach on this subject. It's I mean, really, and they're the ones you would think that would want to know everything about what we're doing.
Are you a firefighter, Jason?
No, I'm actually a union elevator constructor.
Okay. So
I have a lot of interest in Ace Elevator myself.
Oh, wow.
They are going on. So yeah, I work for a global company here, and there's only most of them are globals, Otis, and I don't work for them, but I work for a very large elevator company here in Boston.
Schindler, Otis, yeah.
Formerly known as ThyssenKrupp, TKE Elevator.
ThyssenKrupp, yeah. I know this. I'm in construction management, so I deal with, yeah, if you ever try to get an elevator guy to show up on a Saturday, cha-ching! They're making money.
Well, you know, it's interesting because it's the whole ACE part of this went away really quickly, and it's I often wonder how they got that contract to begin with. That was the largest modernization contract in the world. The biggest building we had. What's that?
And they were a small startup company or something too.
I think there was some tri-state company in the New York area, formed in 1982. I mean, I look at New York City, you think about the lifeline to New York City is their subway system, okay? It does not exist without it. The elevators at the World Trade Center are the vertical subway system for those two buildings. Every single human being, except for the security personnel on the ground floor, use those elevators. There is no way in hell some lawyer or accountant is flying in from Singapore or London and here and yeah, take the stairs to 89. You know, you just would not entrust, in my opinion, anyone. But I mean, Otis put them in, you know, and if something goes wrong, how did Ace Elevator insure themselves against something going wrong on that? How did, you know what I mean? Because, you know, I work in this industry and, you know, where I work now, we technically own the elevators, okay? Or the elevator equipment, okay? Now we have, the building we have has a gold contract, which means anything goes wrong, they pay top dollar, we fix it. Now, it might have been the same way, I don't know, at the World Trade Center, but you know, you blow a couple of hoist motors on that roof, the amount of money it costs to move those out, and you know, Ace could have went under on that, you know? So how did they get the insurance to cover themselves on that? And why would a building like the World Trade Center give them that contract, knowing that that could happen? They go under, and now the amount of money they're charging these people in rents in those two buildings, that they're just going to say, okay, sorry, but you know, we're going to be down a few elevators here, a few elevators. It doesn't work like that. I mean, I deal with a lot, we call them six packs. That's a bank where you have 3 elevators on one side, 3 on the other. Very big, busy building that I work in. We have many of them. One of those goes down and you can see the effect across every floor. I can't even imagine what it's like in 110 story buildings. So, you know, there are so many different avenues on this to really cover, but you know, it's just, it really is, you know, and I would like to get at this, especially with my background and the people in the business that I have access to and contact. So if I could do, you know, if you could show us how to make some memes, what website you use, I mean, that would be great, Gene. I would love
Yeah,
to
just
be able to.
just the basics. And the thing is, and you're right, because when you say you have a lot of ideas, I mean, so many people on social media just keep rehashing the same old 10-year-old memes that we've all seen 100 times, right? So
Absolutely.
if you have an idea, and you know, Gene showed me how to make memes, and I'm certainly not anywhere near his abilities, but I know how to make a basic meme now. So when I have an idea, this is great, because then I just go find the picture, and I load it up and I phrase it into my own words, and out it goes. It's really not complicated. It doesn't have to be complicated, but you just have to know how to do it and where to go.
About the fundamentals, it is, you know, so.
I was trying to think of something on the fly here, and I'm having a rough time.
You want to do something with an elevator specifically? Is there, okay, out of your ideas, Jason, is there something specific? Is there one specific idea that you have that could be simple enough to, is there a phrase that you want to use? Is there some specific message you want to send out that you think would be relevant?
With the elevators, off the top of my head, Sandra, nothing right now.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I know it's hard to come up with it on the spot.
I'll tell you this though, I saw a documentary that reached a lot of channels. It might have been on History Channel, and it showed an elevator. It showed a firefighter talking about an elevator that was stuck, and they were trying to rescue people on it. Some of you may have seen this. And he says one of his buddies who ended up dying, okay, he shows up and he's able to bring this elevator. The elevator is like at the floor level, but you can only see people's feet. And he said the fire department has equipment that can bring it, lower it down. I can tell you, if that elevator was on safeties, if the safety's engaged, there is no way in hell they have any equipment that can bring it down. In fact, I've checked this with rescue personnel here at the BFD, other elevator guys. Those safeties clamp onto those rails, and I will tell you right now, you are not going to hook something up to the header of that door frame and bring it down. So I'd love to know who this firefighter was, because he said also that the pits were on fire because of the jet fuel. Okay. And they were really in a rush to get these people out. They had to lower it down and they got them, and the pits were on fire, all that jet fuel. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, how were the pits on fire, but the elevator cabs weren't?
Right.
If the fuel came down the elevator hoistway, how did it miss the cabs, not get them on fire, but the pits were?
Well, did you
I'm
hear
calling BS on this guy's whole story, you know?
Jason, you'll find this interesting. Willie Rodriguez, the janitor on 1, he said when he went up to the elevator to see Philippe David, the elevator doors, he says, I'm going to say something, it's going to mean something to everybody else, but to Jason, it's means something. You guys are understanding this differently. Willie Rodriguez says, I went up to the doors and the doors were opened like this at the bottom instead of up at the top. If it was an explosion from the top, he said it would look like this. But the doors were split open like this. Now, everyone else in here is probably thinking the doors were they open like this. Jason, if I'm thinking he's going to understand what I'm trying to say here, is there's a cab door and there's a shaft door. And those are the things that are sliding together open. That's what split. The cab door pushed into the elevator and the shaft door pushed out into the hallway. That was from an explosion that happened from the bottom going up. And that's
okay. So yeah, well, I mean, it depends on where the elevator car door will open up the hall door when it's at the floor level. The clutch will engage and they open up simultaneously. But I will say this, and this comes back to what my question's about ACE. If you want to get, and I'm in these hoistways every day, guys, if you want to get to those core columns, the elevator hoistway is where you would get to them. That I do have plenty of pictures of from work I've done in them. You could see the steel beams everywhere. The elevator machines, the machine beams that the shivs sit diagonally across from the steel beams that hold the building up. This stuff is
Jason is talking about right now. All of the elevator shafts are in red, shaded in red. All of the core columns are green. So as you can see, every one of these core columns is in an elevator shaft, for the most part, is in an elevator shaft.
Right. And those rails that are connected that the elevator rides up and down on, they have nothing to do with the movement. The roller guides on the side, it just keeps, the elevator is hanging from ropes, from steel cables. And the guide rails that are they just keep the elevator from spinning around. You know, it just keeps it in line as it goes up. Those will be hooked up to the structural columns, but they're all made out of steel themselves too. It's
But the elevator has
I'm sorry.
Safety clutches, no?
Those safeties.
Yeah.
Those would have those safeties engaged 2 different ways. If the elevator, and the code is different in every state, but roughly about 150 feet per minute, which is a very slow elevator, it will engage instantaneous, which means the car will just stop.
Yeah.
Above that, which these elevators are going to be, these elevators, depending on which floors they're going to, a minimum 700 feet per minute up to probably 1,500 feet per minute. Those are going to have a slide mechanism. So they can't just stop. They're going to have a sliding mechanism where they slide down the rail for a certain amount of travel time, and then they clamp on. They have massive springs on them.
But they have a brake. They have a brake, huh?
So Jason,
emergency brake.
If I may explain for the people that aren't familiar with elevator construction.
Okay, and sorry, so I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second because we're getting really technical again.
Yeah.
First of all, secondly, we do want to do the meme, and thirdly, David has had his hand up for a while, so I'm not sure if you wanted to weigh in on this specifically also.
You're right, Sandra. I'm sorry. It was all about the memes. But
no, it's fine. I'm glad that you brought it up because it's a super interesting conversation. But I know that we're going to look back on this after the call. And we're going to say, man, we got sidetracked again, and we didn't do what we set out to do. So
all right, I'm taking 20 seconds to explain elevators. You're in the cab. You're looking up here, the cables pulling the cab up. And then there are clamps, as he's talking about, rollers that go up on either side of this rail. So if you were to drop, it's going to clamp onto this rail. And it's not going to go far. And here are the shaft doors, by the way, that open up when the cab is at that level that Jason said.
But they're
And
hanging
real
doors,
quick,
huh?
Gene, just on that point, I know here in Boston, it's probably the same in New York, but if you have confined space below the elevator hoistway, they're also required to have counterweight safeties on them as well. So the
Right.
counterweight would have safeties on them too.
Nice, thank you.
David,
Yes, in my opinion, David Cole is the most knowledgeable person in the world on 9/11. And he has something to say about the elevator companies. He is capable of having the discussion about what you were just doing, but I don't know that that's what he knows. I think it was thought that an elevator company was involved at some point, and he found that it wasn't. But you should talk to David Cole about the elevators.
I think whether they were or they weren't, I don't know, but the problem is so little is known about them, and that's.
I assure you, he is the person who knows the most about 9/11 in the world.
Yeah.
He's the one who applied for the FOIA 10 years ago, that the lawyers committee finally won his right to ask further questions.
I was actually just going to ask, I wonder, are they ever going to release that information? I know we got the Freedom of Information request.
We'll find out. I mean, he'll get to ask. One judge says yes. I don't know if they'll find another one to say no. But
all right, I'll contact him. I appreciate that, David.
Talk to David Cole about elevators in the towers. I will email you and him for you to talk to him.
Thank
I need
you.
your email.
Gene, if you want to take down David's hand, and secondly, I know you went ahead and started doing the meme. This is not going to probably help Jason a whole lot, especially because you have access to a program that we don't. I was thinking maybe you should do it in meme generator.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not on my phone. I'm on my computer.
Is there like a site I need to get to create
Yes,
memes?
okay. There's meme
So-
generator. It's super easy. Meme generator, when you go.
Well, hang on. Let's step a step back. Do you use your phone a lot more or use your computer?
My phone.
Okay, then yeah, meme generator. So,
But you can still go on the website and it's still going to give him an idea of, well, meme generator. Okay, on the phone is different.
let me try this. Hang on. Stop share.
911public.org.
Love you. Let me join the call. WarRoom.com. Zoom. Join the meeting. I come. Oh, I'm gonna get.
That's not even you. That's Ross now.
Well, that's hilarious.
That's funny.
I'm gonna get an echo. Still not launching the meeting. Hey, Ross.
Hey, I've got a kind of a medium connection. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, good.
Why is it not opening?
Gene's just trying to log in through his phone so that he can go to the website and basically walk people through what it takes to make a meme. Okay, you're in.
Right. Let's see here. Hang on.
Says you're connecting to audio.
I'm gonna start video. Wow.
There you go.
Share screen.
Nice.
That's wild. So I use meme generator. It's this top center one up on the top. Super easy. they have memes in there already, or you can go in like pictures, and you could go sort through. There's a delay. Let me go slow.
Or you can upload your own picture.
Or you could download a picture that you think is funny. It's really quite simple. I don't have a good answer. Let me grab Albert Einstein here real quick, just as an example. And it sets it up for you. You just have to think of something witty at the top and the bottom to say. All right, come on. Already there. I'm waiting for the screen to show it. There we are. So just keeping it simple. I don't know.
So it gives you 2 boxes to start off with to add your text, but you can add boxes if you want to add extra lines.
Yep.
And this is the one you recommend, meme generator? I'm just going in the App Store right now.
Yeah, it's super easy. I mean, really, it's just like what I'm doing here. And then I can say 9/11 public. I resize it, drag it down to the side corner to make it nice looking.
Well, do you want to go to the letter, exactly, the top, the A in the top right, so that's where you can choose how your writing comes across. You can either have it all caps or lowercase. You can align your text left, right, or center. You can choose your font. You can choose your text size. You can choose your color.
Just as a beginner, if I were you, just come in and grab a picture that you like, download it.
Practice on it.
Put some text on it and save it. And there you go. You've made a meme. You really kind of have to fumble through it yourself a little bit to see the options.
When you come in on your main screen, under the main drop down, you have the option for custom memes. And that means that you just create your own from scratch, like without any kind of whatever, not using anything that they're offering as a template. Just you want to, yeah, exactly. Just go to custom memes.
It's taking forever.
Yeah, it takes there's a bit of a lag there. And then you can go to gallery and go get whatever pictures you have on your phone. If you downloaded a picture from the internet or whatever that you want to use, then you have it on your phone. So then you just pick that picture and it's going to upload that picture.
You guys still seeing me?
Well, right now we're on the screen of your recent images. Yeah. You can choose your layout.
There we go.
So you can either have your text inside the box or on top.
On this image, I don't know why they give you normal option and high. Always pick high quality. You always want the best. If you're downloading a new picture for a meme, go out to look for wallpaper size. Find the biggest picture you can find, because quality will always capture somebody's attention better. Nobody likes a fuzzy meme. But you go out and get a high quality picture. So I would pick high quality. You either have it, you see 2 different styles of memes on the internet where the text is actually written over the picture like it's shown in the first one, or the text above, like a upside down Polaroid. A lot of them are coming. People are using memes like that. But for instance, let's go on top of it. I'll click OK. Oh, I never cropped this before. So the top right hand corner, I can't point at stuff here. It doesn't, is that showing you? That button allows me to crop it.
Oh, the button, the crop button. Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, it's the one at the top right there, that square with a line across.
The square with the diagonal line through it. Yeah, that's crop.
So you can, so you can crop it down and leave out the stuff that you don't want in the picture.
Yep. And I'm just going to change some colors here. My foreground color is going to be black. And I'm going to make it smaller. I'm going to make it go to 1 line, max lines, bottom there. I want it to be only 1 line. I want it to be kind of a smaller font. I don't want a border around it. I just want black. So there's just that. And I'm going to make that my URL. So I'll type in 911public.org and find somewhere nice to put this. We put something out like that. There, another meme. But again, it's all You just got to play, download different images that you'd want to. Again, there's a lot of great images in here that you could think of something funny to say to.
That's terrific. I'm looking forward to trying this thing out.
Yeah, I used one of these. Where's the one? Let me show you one real quick.
Those are the ones that are already pre-made and that you could just pick. If one of those speaks to you and jives with the message that you want to
Right.
send, then you pick one. I mean, it's funny because when you look at them, you see how many of them get used on the internet by other people.
I use Woodison all the time. That's a good one.
Like this one, you'll think of something. I've used this a couple times for 9/11. Well, if this isn't, well, jet fuel doesn't melt steel, and then the eyes pop open. Something. Just think of a kind of to be a little comedian for yourself there. But memes do work wonder.
Do you wanna try it on this one? Do you want to just add some text real quick?
I'm trying to be funny on the fly. That's rough. Just start up. Jet fuel doesn't melt steel. Usually I'll have them in spelling, and then Sandra will say, "Hey, you have a spelling mistake in your meme." Jet fuel doesn't smell. I can't think.
I know, it's hard. I'm sorry to put you on the spot like that. It's really hard under pressure.
You know, one of the things as I debate this with somebody on a daily basis, one of the things they always say, they'll twist jet fuel and then they'll say, well, we're always saying fire doesn't melt steel. And they're like, well, how do you think they make it to begin with? You know what I mean? So, you know, you look at those, you know, the steel mills where they have like the lava going through them and stuff like that. He kind of just associates that with being the same thing as fire, you know, which it isn't.
Right.
So that kind of gets lost in translation with that, you know. And another thing too is a lot of people seem to think that World Trade Center 7 came down because of jet fuel also, not realizing that, you know, now you're talking about the jet fuel coming down 80 floors, going out the front door, through the front door of World Trade Center 7 and burning that down. You know, it's it really needs to be you know, made clear that they're totally separate. No plane hit it, obviously we know this, but they turned to that jet fuel excuse for just about everything.
When did 7 catch fire?
When exactly it caught fire, I don't think anybody knows that.
Was it from debris from the second plane?
Ray.
Sandra, we're talking 9/11.
Yeah.
We're not talking anything else than that.
And this is a war room.
Yeah, that's it. And we're looking at your meme.
There we go. Now I posted up one. Or I made a meme and posted it. It's not one of my better ones, but hey, they can all be gems, you know.
You know, in terms of making those, Gene, one of the ones I always point to is there was a high rise in Los Angeles that caught fire. I think the movie like Inferno was based on it, but this thing burned for like a week. And there was also a building in London not long ago, a couple of years ago, that caught fire. You can literally see like it's a high rise completely engulfed in flames. Both of those other buildings are still standing.
Yeah, and there's the one in China. That one is seriously impressive because it was in flames top to bottom, and you see the whole structure still standing after the fire.
I didn't even know about the one in China.
Yeah.
Was that recently?
Google the one in China, and there's also the hotel in Madrid. Those
okay, yeah. So people, you know, it's just like, it's like, how did these ones? How are they still standing? Yeah. You look at World Trade Center 7. There's maybe 10 floors, lower floors that have some office fires, yet
Right.
comes down in its own footprint, you know? This is the, because I debate this with people intentionally who just will not come on board. The one thing they agree on is the way World Trade Center falls. They always say, I got to admit, that's really weird. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just, it just, and most of them, honestly, they don't even know about World Trade Center 7. If they're just getting into
Nope.
this, they're like, what are you talking about? You know?
Yeah.
Well,
Well-
we made some inroads with 7. I mean, if you compare the polls from like 10 years ago compared to now, there are so many more people now who are aware of 7. They don't know what to do with it, but it's definitely more on their radar than it was a long time ago. And it gets
Yeah.
better every year.
I think a lot of people are in limbo because we can't get the government to move on anything, you know?
Well, it's changing. So we got.
Well, I want to ask you about that, Gene. Do you think that the FEMA or the NIST is gonna, I mean, I know they were ordered by the judge to release that. My opinion is they're just not going to. But what can the judge do if they continually say no?
We start taking out the chain of command and lawsuits. And right now there is the lawsuit against NIST from AE. Ted Walters behind that one. The Data Quality Act. So we have some teeth there on the Data Quality Act. The NIST has to respond to these errors. On the 21st that I keep talking about, January 21st, 2022, the Mick Harrison's going to be at the Second Circuit Court of Appeals giving oral arguments for our First Amendment right to petition a grand jury just to present the evidence. This is a no-brainer, so he should win this. And if it doesn't, it's going to the Supreme Court.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's huge.
that's huge.
Ross has his hand up.
Oh, go ahead, Ross. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. Was going to ask about that app. How and where does all those memes get published?
So
the meme app.
In updates, it'll give you newer memes that are automatically in the program, but you can go out if you're ever searching Google Images and find your own images that you want to make. And then you make your textual edits and you click save at the bottom right-hand corner there, and it saves it onto your phone.
Yeah, it saves that among your pictures. And then it's just like a camera picture that you would have had a record of on your phone. And then you just basically upload it. Like when you go to Facebook and you have the option to update your status, you click on photo. And
Yeah,
that, and then,
I understand.
yeah, right. So then it goes to your gallery and you just pick the picture you want to share.
Yeah, I have about 2,000 memes on 9/11, but that I made, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I thought it was an app that was like an automatic publishing app, which is like, I guess, in an idyllic dream world, where they're just going to publish for you. But
no,
it doesn't do
no.
that.
So you have to publish it yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess there's 8 people on the call tonight. Since I'm talking, I wanted to quickly talk about remember I asked if you woke up the next morning, what would your best awakening be of what the news was going to say or what the world was like?
No.
Post 9/11 truth, being aware, being brought to forth. So I had a kind of a new take since then on it, where, I'm convinced, the towers will be rebuilt at ground zero, similarly to the way they were built initially. Basically, because the main reason is because they're the most efficient vertical towers that ever were built and probably could ever be built, even with newer technologies, based on grade level square footage versus total square footage of the building. It is one of the largest and most efficient structures. What it was the most efficient vertical structure ever to convert ground floor square footage into total large area square footage. And so there's no building that beats it to this date in that category, and I don't think there ever will based on the geometry of it. So if I'm going to go quick here, So if Americans are able to grab the bull by the horns and get this truth out there in a timely way, in a way that the world believes and understands, which they already understand, I think. But that we come out with that truth as Americans, I think that there will be the necessity and the desire and the need and the action, the motivation to rebuild the towers, not only at ground zero, but not as kind of the jail cell slavery worshiping office spaces that they were for the, you know, the industrial elite bankers, the workers that worked for them, the companies that worked in the World Trade Center, but as the natural use that they should have always been and would have been if they had been allowed to survive, which is the vertical gardening. And also the water capture system that they would have been, amazing water capture system. You need pressure head, so you need water at height. So rooftops now, with all the new technology, new materials we have, will hold water, and not just bermed green roofs, but water. And you can hold a lot of water, as much as you want, and that water can be up in the air, and that's a lot of pressure head. So, and then you can have gardens underneath it. Very efficient amount of gardening, 200 acres in the case of the World Trade Center worth of gardens. And that's just if you count floor by floor, dividing them floors up into pallets, which they would do, could multiply that by a factor of 10 or so. And of course you have artificial lighting, efficient artificial lighting. But my bottom line point is that, to me, justice is that the World Trade Center towers are going to be built, not just rebuilt in New York City at ground zero, but in all the major cities of the world, pretty much exactly the way they looked design-wise, because they were all about light, that reflection of light on the outside. You know, that will be kept, and of course the form, the structural form and the design will be kept because of what I mentioned about the efficiency of them and the strength of them. And they'll be built in every major, and that is what I call justice. So I'll end on that.
But that's completely hypothetical, Ross. I mean, you're talking from your particular angle of I guess what you would like to see happen, what you think could happen. I mean, there are cities like Tokyo who, because real estate is so expensive, build massive amounts of high rises to be space efficient and stuff like that. And they haven't gone that route. And
that's because I'm saying they need to be gardens.
Right.
They're not high rises that hold people, they're gardens. So
no, right. But
yeah.
I'm not sure what realistic tie that has to
cities need gardens to survive. The population of the world is growing, and one of the reasons 9/11 happened was so that the elites could control the direction that they wanted the population control and
which they're doing with COVID right now also, right?
Exactly. And so if we're going to survive, and I think we're going out of the cities now. I don't think we're going to be in the cities in the next century or so. I think it's going to be a migration out of the cities, which we're already seeing, of course. And but I think we want to come back, obviously, to the city. To come back to the city, it has to be able to take care of itself, and if population growth keeps going the way it is, and we need to be more efficient with our use of space in terms of agriculture. So one of the biggest criminals in the world right now is the industrialized agricultural system. I won't go into all that, but this would definitely decriminalize the agriculture, the industrialized agriculture that we have. And again, if you're going to move back into the cities, you got to be able to feed yourself and be able to have water. And so the towers are your most efficient solution for that need in the future. That's all I'm saying.
Right,
But it is
and
hypothetical.
that's something that needs to be
Assuming we
addressed.
survive.
It needs to be addressed with the people who make those decisions and those who have, you know, the money and the power and the good intention and all of that stuff. Like, I'm feeling
Same people
extremely
that did
disconnected
9/11.
from what you're saying, because I don't know what that has to do with us and how I can, I mean, or if I should,
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah, what I'm saying is that the people that you just said that have to have that motivation are the people that did 9/11. But they have a misguided motivation now. So that's what I'm
Right.
saying is like,
So they would
No.
not be in favor of building anything along those lines.
well, yeah, well, that's right. So, that has to change. So
But-
that's what I'm saying. That's justice for me.
Yeah, but it's not even, I mean,
That has
it's
to change.
it's so beyond 9/11 though. I mean, it's they have the reason.
No,
you
because
know,
we're talking about the towers, and we're talking about the people that did it have the wrong concept of how to live in the future. And if they want to redeem themselves, the way they do it is say, okay, let's bring back the towers.
Yeah, if they,
We're sorry,
in
I'm
order for
not for
them to,
redeeming these people. I'm all for hanging these people. There's no redemption coming from me. We're putting a rope around these people's necks, Ross. I don't care. There's no redemption. Maybe you and I will rebuild those towers. It won't be them.
Well, okay, I'll agree with that.
Mhm.
But
And-
you and
and
I
for
are
their-
also, you and I, to bring that language into it, are responsible as well to a certain degree. Okay, I'll just leave that there for you.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, but for redemption to even be an issue, they would have to be exposed or acknowledge responsibility, and take it from there. And, this is the whole point.
Not necessarily.
Getting there.
Not necessarily. They may make the decision on their own to do that. I have some faith in their humanity.
Oh, boy.
you
Oh,
know.
boy, I so don't.
I do not have a lot of faith in their humanity. I agree with you, Sandra. I think that's probably not gonna happen. But I wouldn't throw it out with the
They
baby
killed
out with the
3,000
bathwater.
of their own people. They have no.
No, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm
Yeah.
not going to argue with you.
I'm just saying, okay. Ray's been wanting to say something.
Again,
so-
faith in
And Gene, you
humanity.
can take
but
down
you,
Ross's
but you
hand.
got other generations coming into it. You have other generations being born now, that may want to like niche, tell on their fathers and their mothers, generations that get, I won't say woke, but
Well,
All right.
that's kind of the whole point of David's initiative, right? Is reaching
Yeah.
out to the younger generation who may be more open to the whole concept.
they are.
And
They are more open.
and take it from there and
I-
have the pressure come from below, right?
I mean, on my skateboard 800 miles I completed, the young people know more and are more interested and understand they're more interested in it. I think the older generations like us are more interested in covering it up in general, not us, of course, but but the younger, more innocent generation is very aware there's an issue here.
Well,
and
they're
they
not
know a lot more
emotionally
detail.
invested in the narrative, right? They don't have, it
Uh,
didn't happen on their timeline or in their backyard.
Yeah.
So,
Not as negatively, that's right.
yeah.
They're not as negatively invested in it, or as interested in justice as the older generations. But that can change too.
Mhm.
But they're
Okay,
aware
Ray,
of it.
I just want to give Ray a chance to, because he's had his hand up, Ray?
Okay. Yep. Okay.
I was just looking at Barry Jennings's explanation of that day in regards to when the fire started in 7. And I think, when you go back to the beginning of the truth movement, Barry Jennings was a really important factor, and that kind of went under the radars now. But what he's saying that he experienced this explosion in the building, NIST claims there was never an explosion in the building. So there, in that sense, there is a contradiction in terms, you know. And I think that we have to really not say controlled demolition. I think the use of explosives on a day covers it more than saying it's a controlled demolition, because people think that you have to place explosives in buildings, whatever. But if you say explosives were used, you kind of confine it to a more direct message in the movement. It's not controlled demolition is something that takes a lot of people, and people will reject that thought. But if you say explosives were used, that opens the mind for the person you're talking to imagine how that can be in his own mind. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's more when I read the papers that are presented to the court, I read the phrase controlled demolition, and I think, why is it in there? You don't have to prove your theory. You have to disprove the government. It's like you're shooting yourself in your own foot by posing your theory. And
well, I mean,
say,
if they really endorse the controlled demolition theory, then of course that's what they're going to present. I mean, to hell with how complicated it is, or how people might, you know, they don't. If you don't want to, you know, you go with the truth, right? If that's your truth, controlled demolitions, then that's what you run with, and you're not going to sugarcoat it or embellish it because it might be harder to digest for people.
No, it's not digesting. Is it true?
Oh, well, but they clearly think, that seems to be what AE and everyone is running with.
Yeah, but I think that's the thing. What I'm getting to is I can 100% say explosives were used, but it's something else to call it the way they were used. If you call it a controlled demolition, then you kind of get another way of thinking about it. Because when Barry Jennings says that he got to the 7th floor and there was an explosion that took out the whole staircase, I think that's a massive explosion. And that's somebody who said that on record. Not one time, multiple times. He told the same story, and then he was gone. He was taken off the radar, and he was said he was dead. But
Ray's onto something there, because I'm looking at the Lawyers Committee's executive summary for the petition for the controlled demolition of. Oh, and it crashed. You guys still see my screen?
It just says that it started screen sharing, but I don't know if it's frozen.
Let's try this again. Stop.
And just to say, Xiola has had her hand. Did you want to add to what Ray is saying, or did you have something separate that you wanted to tap
Yeah,
into?
you guys see my screen now?
Back to what, yeah, we can see it now. What Ross was saying about justice, he was saying, what about rebuilding the towers in every major city? But I was thinking, to really get to justice, confront these guys and say, look, we know what you've done. It's obvious you've taken the money and invested it in big tech and other ways to like tighten the chains on humanity. You guys need to back off, cancel these programs of overreach on the people, give us all a chance to even this out, and you guys come clean on what really happened, like confronting them. Say, you guys come clean. We're going to give you a chance to come clean instead of exterminating us, because that would really be preferred. If we could all come to the table and just confront them and say, look, we know what you're doing. You need to stop it. Because it started with the Patriot Act, and now with this con job 1984 BS, they're tightening the chains yet again.
Yeah, I know we are all trying, they're obviously just ignoring us, censoring us, pushing back against us, all of that stuff. So it's so much easier said than done. I mean, we're all trying very, very hard.
Well, somebody's gatekeeping at the top where we need to confront that person and say, look, this needs to stop. The future of mankind depends on this. And we would like to get to the next stage of evolution if we could, and make sure that everyone is cared for on the planet instead of, you know, like Yemen. The people in Yemen are being absolutely starved to death. This is totally barbaric. And what they're doing in Palestine, I mean, I'm not going to go into a bunch of details right now, but you guys know what I stand for. I don't mention Yemen that much, only because it's really hard, awkward subject, and I'm already so censored as it is. I have to tag everybody to get people to see my posts, and I still don't get much feedback. So I've just kind of been taking it easy the last few weeks, trying to reposition my stance and my focus, because I feel that I've gotten a little bit angry over the years, and I'm trying to really back off and figure out what's the best tactic as far as me going forward, and caring and not getting upset, because right now I'm pissed. I mean, the last war room, I felt really bad because I kind of raised my voice in there, and that didn't get published. But and I thought, uh-oh, did I break the war room? I was gonna message you guys today, but then I saw you pop on, so I thought, oh, okay. So I'm glad you're back. But it was, yeah, I think it's all about confronting them and just really making sure they see that we see them, and there's like a wall there.
Yeah, well, we keep
You know?
trying to do that, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. If it were as simple as just, you know, confronting them and putting them, you know, putting a spotlight on them and making somebody talk or admit something or whatever, take responsibility, then this would have happened like 19 years ago. This is the truth movement. We are trying as much as possible to shed light on this, make people aware, put pressure, squeeze them into a corner, you know, the way the lawyers committee is with the lawsuits, and the way that they're pursuing them to now with NIST to release the data on the collapses of the towers. I mean, it's really just chipping away at it continuously, both at the powers that are behind it and at the awareness of people in public that, you know, still some of them buy into the official narrative. So it's a daily grind. And this is what the truth movement's about. It's that daily grind. It's going to be very hard to make a huge impact in one shot with one action, unless, I mean, God knows, you know, some kind of, you know, big star comes out and talks about it unapologetically and gets everyone on board and to listen and to look at the evidence and whatever. But just us left to our own devices, it's a huge task. I mean, that's exactly what you're saying. It's exactly what we're trying to do. That's the end goal, right? To hold them responsible and see where that leads. So yes, I'm totally with you. It's really, really tough. It's super tough. It's what we're all trying to do, ultimately.
What Ray was saying about staying off of the word controlled demolition, I look up the lawyers committee's executive summary for the grand jury petition for the controlled demolition of 1, 2, and 7. And oddly enough, in the first paragraph, they don't mention the word controlled demolition, the phrase. It says, third line, that he present to a special grand jury extensive evidence of thus far unprosecuted federal crimes relating to the destruction of the 3 World Trade Center towers of 9/11. The evidence presented in the petition and exhibits here to be considered by the lawyers committee after careful evaluation to be conclusive. So,
well, the second paragraph says eyewitness evidence that explosives were used to destroy.
There it is. Yeah, you see
the 3 buildings. So it's not focusing on controlled demolition.
No, I can't zoom.
Yeah, but it's a summary, yeah.
That's very, yeah, that's the summary. And I
Yeah,
found-
but
even
it's,
in point-
I saw it in other exhibits, and there was a mention of controlled demolition.
But
Maybe
even in
right.
point 3, it says brought down by use of explosives.
Yeah,
and
resembles controlled
incendiaries.
demolition. It stands
Yeah.
there also.
Point 2, they do say it here. But
Right,
for
okay.
the most part, they say explosions and explosives and destruction. That's
But they
interesting.
say resembling controlled demolitions.
Yeah,
That-
yeah. But they're hinting to a way.
That's interesting, Ray. Thank you for that. It is how we phrase things. It seems to unlock certain things in people's minds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does anybody else have anything? Because I'm getting tuckered and we're going on.
I want to see your tower in flames.
I'm finding that
Can you finish it tonight?
I'm finding that I put things on backwards, so I have to take things back apart. But yes,
Don't burn your house down, eh?
There's my tower so far.
Are you done?
No, I got to put the base yet and hook up the propane tank thing, and then flames will be pouring out of her.
Did you not say last night was going to take you a week to build it?
Yeah, so I'm OCD there on this thing, and I was up till 3 in the morning. I just couldn't stop. So, yeah, I was up way longer than I should have been. I'm getting like delirious. Things aren't going together. I'm like, all right, that's it. Go to bed. So.
Yep.
Hey, Gene, I just wanted to, can I say one final little thing I thought of?
Yes, please.
Comment on what I was talking about in terms of the that idealistic vision of the future is that we really, as a movement, to capture the young people and to capture the future of this is to there's got to be a positive spin on this movement. Right now, we're talking about taking George Bush to the gallows and everybody to the gallows and all that, and that's fine. But that's not, we need a positive result to this. Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu said 9/11, the true gift of 9/11. Of course, I hate that.
But you went max headroom on us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not hearing you at all anymore, Ross.
Yeah. Not catching any of it, Ross.
Yeah, just maybe mute him, Gene, and
yeah.
well, Xiola had her hand up, but now it's back down, so I'm not sure.
9/11, but I'm saying the truth now.
I'm sorry, Ross. You went max headroom for the past minute. We didn't catch any of that. Try unmuting again and try coming back, and maybe it'll work now. Now we're not hearing anything.
Yeah.
Are you hearing anything? No.
Oh, there we go. Now you're back clear.
Oh, all right. I was going to say that we need a positive message, a positive spin in the movement.
Yep.
And so that's that dream of mine, that vision of the future of the towers is a way to keep, you said, well, Sandra said, well, what's the relevance to the movement? What's the relevance?
Oh, there you went. Right when you want to get to the punchline. Your review was impeccable, but once you're back to the meat of it, you went dead again.
Bring back attention to
No, I'm sorry.
I know, cut it out.
Yeah, it's not working.
Just before we cut out, I just want to give Xiola a chance because she had her hand up and then she took it back down.
Okay,
sorry.
thank you. I almost was going to change my mind because I thought, it's not really as relevant as what you guys are talking about, but.
Oh, sorry, and Gene, can you
again,
please take down the screen share? Sorry, Xiola, go ahead. Sorry.
It's okay. Back to the justice, like instead of focusing on all of the, everything that we're focusing on, they're focusing on the technicalities of this and that. What about the most basic thing of all, the money? Where did the money go? We need to look at that and say, okay, we know where the money went because it's invested in tightening our shackles yet again. Go back to that same thing I was talking about before. Why don't we just go right to the punchline? I mean, why are we going around? with anthrax petition and this technicality and NIST and all this other bullshit that's like really taken us away from the core of it. The core of it, what they were after, obviously, is what we should be after. Let's talk about that. And
Well,
what
right now-
Susan Lindauer said the other day, she's like really on it. I mean, if she's got that information, let's just, I mean, what are we doing?
Right now, that's where it, right now the litigation is just that. It's with the explosives of 1, 2, and 7, and it's with the anthrax and FOIA requests as discovery. Now that David Cole's stuff opened up, that's more into the stuff going on in New York. So that's right now where our most essential evidence is, and that's what's before the courts. So
Yeah, and the thing is,
I just
I mean,
feel like they're kind of dicking around with that, though, don't you think? They're kind of dicking around with all these different little technicalities that could have us talking for another 20 years when we know that there's a big lump sum of money that is the elephant in the room. And this is what we really should be addressing, because that money is going to imprison us right now. And this is bullshit.
okay,
Sorry.
but you can't disregard the fact, I mean, there is the justice aspect, there's the 3,000 people that were killed, there's all the firefighters that are still dying, there's the endless wars we had, there's the limitations of our civil rights and liberties, I mean, that were all the result of that. And, you know, the money is, to me, is one aspect of it, but that's personally, like, I don't know, like, it's one of the many things that are the sore spots of this whole event. And
that'll come
right
out.
now, the technicalities are a way to prove that they even did it. You know, even with the money, you would first have to prove that they were responsible for that. And so
Yeah.
it always comes down to proof. And
So this goes back. I don't know why people are missing this. Once we get the grand jury investigation into the controlled demolition of 1, 2, and 7. Right now, Mick Harrison is fighting for our First Amendment right just to put this evidence in the grand jury's hands. We're not fighting over the evidence. We're fighting over our First Amendment right to petition the government. That is the most essential thing we should all be getting behind. We should all be supporting the Lawyers Committee. We should all be pushing for this. January 21st, 2022, oral arguments. We get that. We get this evidence into the court. Then the grand jury has subpoena power. They have testimony under oath. They'll have the discovery of all their relevant evidence. That's when we'll start getting, okay, where did the money
right, it leads to everything else.
Yeah, that'll release everything else. Right now, we just need to be getting behind the Lawyers Committee in this litigation, in my opinion. And sorry if my tone came off terrible there.
No, definitely. I agree. I agree 100%. It's just that that's just one thing that we never really hear talked about. And now that it's actually being used to imprison us, I think that it's getting to the point where, like, oh shit, you know, time to do something, because more than what we're doing, because I mean, in whatever way we can, because this is getting pretty serious. I mean,
yeah,
this is getting pretty stupid, really. I'm pretty pissed myself, and that's why I told you guys I had to like take a breather for a minute and like try to figure out what the fuck is going on, because I am so shadow banned and so censored. It's beyond ridiculous. I almost have to make a whole new thing, and I don't even want to make it on Facebook, because Facebook is just bullshit. Pretty stupid. The opinion fact checkers, I don't know if they're going to remedy that or if they're going to keep on doing what they're doing, but
they talk right through it. It's crazy. Oh yeah, they're fact checkers. They're just giving an opinion. Like, and everyone goes, oh, okay. Like, what? Like, this is our world now.
Wow, the fact checkers were given the playbook of what is allowed and what's not, and you know, they'll just go by that. And and if they disagree with something that disagrees with the narrative, it's just flagged on whatever crappy reasons they can find.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got a post fact check because I put a quote up by Ralph
That's right.
Waldo Emerson where one word was off. one word, I just found it in a hurry. I just downloaded it from Google. I got the picture of the quote. And one word was not quite correct. It was not the original quote. And I got fact checked and I was told that my posts were going to move down in the feed for the next 90 days because that quote was not quite accurate. So, you know, when I tell you BS reasons for censoring people, it's just, I don't know how much more ridiculous than that you can get.
Yeah.
So maybe you should just put a disclaimer on all posts. This post may not be 100% valid, but
Who here is not on the public 9/11 public directory yet? Sean's there. I'm there. You're there. Ray, are you on there yet?
No, I'm not.
Why not, brother? Come on.
I'm here.
Yeah, but it's just your name and your city or state and your
I know what you want. I know what you want.
and you're in Europe. We need numbers in Europe.
It would just be nice to be able to see.
No, we don't need numbers. We need brains. Come on.
Well, how are you going to find the brains if you don't know where they are?
Yeah, here in your own head.
No, I know, but the other brains. Don't
use
you want to find other brains?
It helps other people to be able to see each other. And if everyone's like, oh my gosh, there are a lot of people that are now on board with this, it's the bandwagon thing. People will finally.
But it's.
And I hear you. We do need the smart people, but here's the thing.
No. We don't. We need people to read the official reports, and I think that's fundamental. Fundamental.
Yeah, you're right. But we're dealing with people with the least common denominator. We're dealing with
no. Richard Gage did not read the NIST report himself, and I think that's a very missed opportunity in you know, confronting the official story is understanding the official story.
Are you sure about that, Ray? That he didn't read the NIST report?
The NIST report is this big. It's this
huge.
big. It's huge, but it's interesting to read it.
Not really. I try.
No, it's very interesting to read it. No, if you because there are things mentioned in there that are reality, but there are things that are not mentioned in there, and that's the point. It's not like it's a total fantasy report, and I think that you have to get the gist of how they put it together to get to the conclusion they get.
Ray, if you think that the next 100 people that you can think of in your immediate 9/11 truth environment can read through the report, B, understand the report, C, realize what's missing from the report, you are totally overestimating everyone's, including mine, because there's no way that I'm getting through that report. I'm telling you right now, there's no way I'm going to understand it, and I'm definitely not going to be able to find what they missed.
It's the course of the whole movement is that we rely on facts that are given to us by people who never ever read the report themselves.
So
and I think that's really damaging for us as a movement, because we have to realize that the report itself is fundamental in the official story. We have to disprove it.
So let's find the specialists and the engineers and the people who can actually do the legwork on that and do a recap of that, because
we have a lot of highly intelligent people in the movement. I'm not disregarding the knowledge of
I'm not one of them.
We all are. I think that people here are really engaged with it, that we have to understand the report on its merits, how it's built up, and because it's fighting the official report. It's like going to a movie. It's like hearing about a movie from somebody else you never saw. It's like saying I don't like the movie, and did you go to the movie? No, I didn't see it, or read the book.
He's
It's
right.
fun.
So we have NC Star 1A, which is World Trade Center 7. It's 88 pages.
It's really big. It's thousands of pages.
NC Star 19A is
Oh, it's 7. It's 1 and 2 are really big.
yeah, these ones, yeah, 700 and some pages.
Yeah. But that's
730 pages.
7. Yeah.
And then if you really wanted to get into it, when AE sues them, here's their appeal, request for correction to NIST. So you can go through all their statements where they disagreed with NIST and shut NIST. I mean,
Yeah, but
he's
that's
right.
7. That's 7.
Yeah, it gets really interesting, but right
Yeah.
about here, I fell asleep.
Okay.
But yeah, some of it is. I love the colorful pictures and I love the explanations that I could tie back into pictures, but when it just goes on and on and on, it is hard to follow. But he's right. I mean, we should unpack this, and there should be something I'd love to see Richard tackle something where he could unpack this for us and make this palatable.
Yeah, make it accessible, because right now the NIST report is not accessible at all.
Yeah.
Oh, it is accessible, but you have to take the time.
Yeah, he's right.
It's on the internet. It's a PDF. You can download it if you want to. You can check it on Words. You can go through it like library, looking for distinct elevators or whatever.
Yeah.
You just type in elevator and you read about elevators. And
Oh
I
my
think
God.
Technically,
Ray.
Monty, you're right, Ray. But
Yes.
for most other
But
people,
realistically,
it's getting the movement forward is not only having interpretations of what we see, but interpreting what the government wrote.
we can't get people to sign the petitions.
No, it's not. It's
Getting
no,
them
no,
to read
I
thousands of
understand.
pages of a technical report that they're not even remotely interested in. So.
No, it's not up to you to read the but
No, but anybody.
I think Richard should read it. If as an architect, I
would have thought he would.
highly advise him
Yes.
to read it,
Yes.
to give his thought about what he discovered and because it's getting into we have to get into the nitty-gritty.
Maybe so.
Action item.
It is important.
Hold on, Sean, and then but Xiola also has her hand up. So Sean, go quickly.
I said action item on what Ray was touching off.
Action item, really? All right, action item. Xiola?
We need a positive message. Did that come through? We need a positive spin.
You're right.
Movement.
What
What we're talking about now is not going to go anywhere. We need the positive spin, and there
Yeah,
are
peace
many.
and justice. That's the positive spin.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, and it is an action item.
Vertical garden.
It is an action item to the point that, okay, so we want to see this thing go forward, right? We want Richard Gage to pick it up. Well, let's
Right.
present it to him in a really nice fashion. Like Gene said, there's some really nice pictures in that report and some graphs and charts, and there's some really good highlights. Now, whoever's most familiar with it, if it's Ray, he could go through and say, you know what, I would like to highlight this, and put it all in there and give Richard Gage like maybe a 3 to, I wouldn't go more than 7 to 8 pages, but give him a little report, just a synopsis of all the things you'd like to see highlighted and represented for him to go over. I think that would be a good approach. Give him like a, like think of it like school, like you're doing a book report. Okay, I'm going to do a book report on the NIST, all the pages of NIST, whoever's, if it's Ray or whoever, is most familiar with it. That would be really, really cool. And that would help Richard a lot too. He'd see the interest and he'd get a good portion of the highlights that we're interested in hearing about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Baby steps.
Oh, and by that way, on that note, with Richard. Richard signed up on the directory, Richard Gage. So you guys, if the appeal to authority works for anybody, get your ass on that list. All right. All right. Damn, this
Okay.
beef won't go in there.
All right, you want to call it a
Gene,
night?
what's the list?
I'm sorry?
Said you want to call it a night?
Yes, I do. Oh, but Sean said something. I thought, Sean, what did you say?
What was the list that you just said get your ass on?
The 911 public, geez, oh man, I can't even get I just still ruined my own thunder. 911public.org. 911public.org. Thank you, Sean. He's a great salesman. All right. You guys have I hope you all had a Merry Christmas. Thank you guys for rolling in here on this Sunday.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm off this whole week for vacation. If I don't use the days, I lose them. So
Don't burn your house down, huh?
no, right?
Holy moly.
Right.
Talk to you in 2022.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye, guys. Good night.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Night.
Night.
Night.